Hello, everyone, and welcome to Living the Herbal Way, Part 1, where I'm going to be sharing with you the different ways that you can be bringing herbs into your daily self care routines and help you create a more calming and uh, meaningful life by using herbs for your wellness. My name is Alison from the Well Cultivated Life. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going live here today on spring equinox, and I can't think of a better day to get you reconnected with living plants and with the herbs that are available to us to help us support us in our health. Now, I'm going to get started here and show you a quick slideshow and talk about several different aspects of self-care. This is part 1. It's herbal self-care. There's also a part 2 and a part 3. So make sure that you watch those videos to get the whole series, the whole 3-part series. So self-care, I want to start with this quote. Self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. And unfortunately, in our society, in our day and age, we have a lot of guilt around self-care. Oh, I shouldn't be doing this for me. I need to be giving things to other people. But the truth is that self-care really is an essential part of being healthy. It's about rejuvenating and keeping ourselves in a good state of wellness. So self-care is the things that we do either on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, or monthly, like getting a massage once a month. Weekly, we might go for a walk with a friend or something like that every Sunday, let's say. And these are the activities and the practices that nurture us. They nurture our body, our mind, and spirit. And I know that's kind of an overused term. Sometimes I will say our head, our heart, and our hands, with our hands representing our body. And this is because we are so much beyond just a body. We are a whole person, and we need to care for all these aspects of ourselves. As an herbalist, that's what I do. I take a holistic approach to wellness in everything that I do. Now, self-care is what we do to allow ourselves to rejuvenate from just the reality of living in the modern world. Ancient peoples did this all the time. They knew that they had to have rejuvenation practices. So what does that look like for you? Everybody is going to have a different way that they are interested or that works for them for their self-care. And maybe it's exercise, meditation, maybe it's more socializing, or just plain relaxing and taking a whole day off with doing nothing. Maybe it's cooking or eating well, and these are the things that are important to you. But whatever it is, it's got to become a priority because it is the way that we manage our stress. And let's face it, we have a lot of that in our day and age. So what I'm going to do today is just go through what are a couple types of stress and what are the ones that we can have a little bit more that we can use herbs for. And then we'll focus in on one particular type of stress, which is chemical stress, the things that are coming into our body, and look at what we're using for our self-care products. And then we'll talk about, well, how can I replace some of those with herbs? And what are some of the practices that I can use to be able to use a more herbal, natural techniques in my daily routines? So I just want to touch on stress real quick. If we want to be healthy, I'm assuming that's a priority of yours, we must have what I call a low net stress. And that means that things are going to happen. Stressful things are going to occur in our life. And that's just part of reality. But these different types of stressors and the effect they have, the way that they affect our body can build up over time. And so what we want to be able to do is to release, like I was saying, rejuvenate ourselves so that we can release a lot of the stress that we might have gotten from a particular situation or a particular day, for example. Now, there are different types of stress. If you've been alive since 2020, you experienced a large amount of emotional and psychological stress due to COVID. We all did, because there was so much fear around it, of fear of the unknown, right? And that's just one kind of stress that herbs can definitely help with, but it's not what we're going to be talking about in this session here. We also have environmental stress, which is really the way that our environment is. Do you live in a noisy city that has, sirens all the time and crowded people in your space? That can be a real source of stress as well. But today, what we're mostly focusing on is chemical stress. And this is related to partly the food, although we'll be talking about that in part 3. The chemicals that come into our body. What are we bringing into our body? What are we putting on our body for care products? And how can we reduce our toxic load of chemicals so that our body doesn't have to deal with those and can feel better and has more energy for dealing with other types of input? So just want to go through this list of recommendations for what to look for. I've got a whole shelf full of stuff in my bathroom. What should I be doing to try to reduce this chemical load that causes stress on my body? So the first thing you can do is take a look at whatever products you're using and look at the ingredients list and ask yourself, can I pronounce this? Do I have any idea what this is? And how many of these chemicals are there in this product? And you can just start by eliminating anything that seems to have a huge long list of chemicals. Now, there are some natural products that have a chemical sounding name, and so it's important to do the research and find out which each of these are. The next thing is organic versus conventional agriculture. So a lot of people wonder, do I have to buy organic if I want to, when I'm doing herbal care? And truthfully, when you are in the grocery store and you're choosing between two highly processed products, one's organic and one's conventional, I would always go for the organic if I could. Olive oil, for example. I'm always trying to buy organic in those types of products. But if I had the choice between buying something that was an organic thing from the grocery store versus grown by the farmer down the street who I know, who's going to have a much fresher and a much better product for me, I'm going to choose my local farmer. So you need to think about what scenario you're in. But if you can, try to always buy the organic whenever possible. And the third thing is that one of the big areas of chemical concern is what's called hormone or endocrine disruptors. Now, you've heard of hormones before, but what they do is they are the chemical messengers that basically tell just about every part of our body, all of our organs, what to do, when to do it. And so if chemicals are interfering with our ability to, if they're interfering with our ability to communicate with themselves, with our body to communicate with itself, then we are going to run into some big trouble. So it's something that you really need to watch out for. Then, of course, any types of artificial dyes or colors should be avoided, as well as alcohol. Now, herbalists use alcohol a lot. We extract a lot of things in wines and vodkas and things like that for herbal use. But here we're talking about things that we're putting on our body rather than in our body. And so alcohol is not the best for your skin. And the other one is mineral oil, because people think, oh, it's made of minerals. Well, it's not actually made of minerals. It's actually made from petroleum products. So if you can avoid mineral oil, that's always a good idea as well. And then lastly, fragrance. When I found this out, I just couldn't believe it. This is a generic term for up to 4,000 possible ingredients in your product. So one of the things that happens is with lots of ingredients, we don't know if we get a reaction to something. We really don't know what might be causing it if the term fragrance is used. And the other thing is that something like a fragrance, if you'll notice, it's always at the end of the ingredient list. And so it's a very small amount of the ingredients. And therefore, it's sort of assumed that it's just a little bit in there. It's not going to hurt you. But we don't know how these types of things are accumulating in our body. So the first step is just use care products with fewer ingredients. That is a great way to start off cleaning up your bathroom cupboard. Now, one of the things, one story I want to tell you was about my son. He had started having some problems with getting a rash on his underarms. And he found that it was some kind of ingredient in the underarm deodorant that he was using. And he had to try multiple different brands before he found one that wasn't giving him a rash. And eventually he did. But the problem is he doesn't really know what it is that caused that in the first place. A lot of times when you get these sensitivities, they don't necessarily go away. And so it's important, if we just keep it clean to start with, then you're not going to run into these kinds of reactions and these kinds of problems. So one of the things you can do is just take these steps to try to renovate your care or renovate your bathroom shelf. And the first is research your products. A lot of times what happens is we have a certain product that we really like and it works well for us. And then we got to look at the ingredients and say, oh boy, this has stuff in here and I probably shouldn't use it. But the truth is, some of these things that seem like a chemical, like I said, they may actually be okay. So do some research, and I'll put some links down below this video of some good sites that you can go to get information about the different types of beauty care ingredients. And then if you find something that's just got too much junk in it, just remove it, get rid of these offending substances, replace it with clean and herbal choices. And in the long run, what this is going to do is it's going to reduce your toxic load overall. When we control what we're bringing in and reduce this, then our liver doesn't have to process it. Our kidneys aren't getting overworked. And then those resources of our body are available for other types of functions, the repair work and the restoring work that they naturally do. So now you got a clean cupboard in your bathroom. Let's start incorporating some herbs into your daily routine. And one of the tips that I wanted to give you actually was that if you think about what you're using for products, one of the important things to think about is, does this stay on my body or is it temporary? So in other words, shampoos and soaps are not as critical as lotions or creams that we're putting on. It's going to stay on. We want it to absorb. And therefore, we need to be more concerned about those types of products than something that's just more of a temporarily on our body. So let's talk about some of my favorite herbs that are very good for this type of self-care, personal care, body care. And let's start, like I said, with oils and lotions because they're really important. And so the 4 herbs I want to share with you here, we're going to start with calendula. And calendula is just one of my very favorite herbs. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know I'm always telling people, if you're just going to grow one herb, you should grow calendula. So calendula is found in a lot of lotions and creams. It actually has its own natural sun protection. And so it's a really nice one to use during the summer for sun exposure. It also, not only does it protect you from the sun, I had an experience a number of years ago where I had some boiling water spilled on my leg, and it was at least a 2nd-degree burn. And this is when I first met calendula. I was not at home. I was visiting somebody, and a friend of mine told me, listen, you need to use this calendula gel and calendula lotion to put on the burn as it begins to heal. So after about a week, I started using the calendula on that and it healed up really nicely. I have no scars at all in that area, thanks to calendula. And our next herb is one you're all familiar with, I'm sure, which is lavender. Now, we were just talking about fragrances and how we have to be careful about the fact that we don't really know what those are. And so essential oils are a great alternative if you are the type of person that likes to have a lot of scents around. You like body spray and so on. You can use lavender simply by mixing it together with some water. And I have a little spray right here. You just put it in a little spray bottle. Somebody gifted this to me and you just spray it on and it immediately, not only does it smell good, it has a calming effect as well. So being able to substitute some of these other uh, essential oils, and you can make blends and that sort of thing. I'm not an expert fragrance blender, so I tend to go just straight up one fragrance at a time. Then we also have rose. And everybody loves a rose. It's well known as being a very good healer for the skin. It has a lot of affinity for the skin, and it's very soothing. It's emollient, which is a hard word to say, but it basically means that it's got, smoothing properties and it moisturizes and that sort of thing. Now, rose essential oil is highly coveted and it's very expensive. So there are other ways that you can get rose for skincare, which is by simply making an infused oil. And that means just taking some rose petals, some nice organic ones, hopefully, and soaking them in some kind of beauty oil like a jojoba and letting that infuse in there. And then you can just use the oil straight on your skin, or you can mix it to make other types of products as well. And the last is chamomile, which everyone thinks of as a tea for drinking and calming, but it's also can be used as a facial cleanser, just making the tea and using it on your face or using it in a facial steam. And it does have some antihistamine properties. Now, a number of years ago, my husband and I owned a music store, and there somebody brought in an old instrument from their attic, and he opened it up, and immediately some kind of fungus or something came out that had been sitting in there for so long. And by the next morning, he was completely swollen up with hives from this, whatever it was that he had breathed in, right? And so we made a really strong cup of chamomile tea and put that, he drank some of it, but also we used it as a wash on the really bad areas. And you could visibly see the hives decreasing with the chamomile on them. It was actually worked way better than I thought it was going to. I'm like, wow, look at that. Herbs really work. That was an awesome clarification for me about how important they are and how much they can help. But what I want to share with you next is one of my favorite types of herbal self-care, and that is the herbal bath. Now, I don't take an herbal bath as often as I should or could, but today I want to share with you about just how easy it is to make an herbal bath for yourself. Before you start panicking, Alison, I don't have a bathtub. I just want you to know that whatever you use, these formulas I'm going to give you, they can also be used in a foot soak or a foot bath as well. So you can still get a lot of the benefits just from doing that. Now, making an herbal bath is as simple as brewing a very strong cup or quart, depending how big your bathtub is, of tea. And what you do is you just choose the herbs that you want for your bath. You pour the tea and allow it to steep for at least 60 minutes. Stir it while it's steeping so it gets nice and strong. And if you plan ahead, I'm not that good at planning ahead, But if you know you're going to do a Friday night bath every week, you can always make the tea ahead of time. Just keep it in the fridge or let it go overnight, strain it out, keep it in the fridge, and then you just simply pour that into the bath. Now, some people, as you're going to see in these pictures I have, uh, they show all these petals floating in the water. Now, there's been a few times that I have put petals and the actual herb itself into the bath, but it's kind of a mess. So I recommend that you simply make the tea and put the rest of the flowers into the compost pile. So here's 3 different formulas that you can use for different types of bath. The first one is to take a soothing bath. And for this, we're going to use some of these real healing types of herbs that are very good for the skin. And this might be a situation where, let's say it's winter and your skin's getting really dried out and you really want to have a much better, you want to do some actual healing of the skin. So calendula and rose come in, and also elderflower. Now, we mostly are familiar with elderberries, but the elderflower is a lovely plant. It's slightly cooling when it's used in this way, and it's also very gentle, and it has a nice scent to it. And another thing, which I didn't put on this list, that you could add to a bath like this is oats and oatmeal. So you could put a few oats, or if you happen to have it, let me show you this. If you have access to actual green oats, sometimes known as milky oats, or oat straw, it is an herb that you can purchase in like an herbal, herb store or a health food store. Sometimes you can get herb straw, cut up tops, and that's another thing that you could add into your tea as you were brewing it. But the elder is this gorgeous flower. It smells absolutely wonderful, and it can be easily harvested, and you can also just buy that in commerce as well. Elder berries, of course, if you harvest the flower, you're not going to get the berries. I tend to harvest the flower and then buy my berries because I usually can't get enough harvested berries to make what I want to make each winter for my elderberry syrup and whatnot. So elderflower is another one to look for if you haven't used that before for your nice, soothing bath. The next one is an invigorating bath. Elder slightly cooling. Peppermint's very cooling. This might be a nice bath you could take even if you wanted to do a cool bath and you want to kind of wake yourself up. Throw in some peppermint, some rosemary, which has that wonderful scent and all kinds of properties to it that are helpful for the skin. It makes a great hair wash as well. And then nettle, which is super nourishing, has all kinds of nutrients in it as well. Now, before you start panicking that I'm trying to tell you to put stinging nettle into your bathtub, I just want to remind you that we're making a tea out of this and that you're not going to actually have contact with the fresh plant necessarily. Some people do use this in that way for like arthritis and things like that. I prefer the tea. Make sure you sip some of it before you drink it as well, because it's highly nourishing. And then the third type of blend that you can put together is a very relaxing blend. And so we're going back to our friends chamomile and lavender and rose, all 3 of those, and lemon balm they're all what's called nervines. And that simply means that they work on the nervous system. So all of these have a really great action to help us calm and relax. And of course, you're getting the benefit of the rose for your skin as well. And if you haven't used lemon balm before, it's another super easy plant that you can grow. It's excellent fresh, and it has that lemony smell, because a bath is not just about being in the water. If you put in these delicious smelling herbs, you can even sprinkle some straight essential oils into your bath. I always do that. And that gives you this other sensory, the scent of it as well, also is very calming. Now, I've said nervine a lot, and I just wanted to clarify that a nervine is any herb or any plant that affects the nervous system. It might be affects the nervous system. I can never remember A, E, but you get the idea. So any type, there can be a stimulating nervine that stimulates the nervous system, relaxing, a sedative, any of those things can be used. So those are the 3 different bath blends that I wanted to share with you. And I hope that you will get a bath, an herbal bath, into your regular routine. So let me just summarize. Living the herbal way, herbal self-care. There are some things you can easily do to create a more herbal and natural self-care routine, including just renovating your care products. Go through and just get rid of things that have too many chemical ingredients in them. Add an herbal bath to your weekly routine, and then recommit to your self-nurturing. This is really what this is about. It's okay. You deserve it. It's important. It's really important. We need to regenerate ourselves all the time so that we are able to live a good life and love the people that we want to love and be in the world in the way that we want to. So you can learn more about living the herbal way at my website, thewellcultivatedlife.com. Sometimes it wants you to put the www on the front of it, or it doesn't work as well. So I hope to see you over there. I have a free herbal community you can join just by signing up. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you for part 2 of Living the Herbal Way.